As we see a room, as we see a young man on computer reverse engineering this new data DNA, as he says, remarkable. This was a fascinating creature back then. They used to hunt in packs, as he's seeing is an ancient species of a mongoose, and he deems the name and he calls it zangoose. This thing was a super hyper carnivore. It hunted its prey relentlessly with no mercy. What's this? As he takes some of cobra venom and he drops the DNA into the cobra venom, the DNA fights the venom back, and it's incredible. Instead of eradicating the blood is getting stronger. As he's like, whoa, this is insane. So these guys was completely immune to snake venom, but also it made them stronger. Whoa, I gotta take this to the head. As he was getting up, he forgot he had the scalpel towards the edge next to him. So when he got up, it also cut his skin open, making it where the mongoose blood entered his bloodstream. As he's like, oh no, but it's already too late to stop it. As he immediately hits the floor and starts to roll around in agonizing pain. As he's screaming, all his subordinates come down as like, boss, what happened? The blood got into my bloodstream. I cut myself with the scalpel. As they try to contain him, as he starts to get really feral, like he starts to foam out his mouth, his eyes starts to turn red, and he's not in a good state right now. As they pull out the tranquilizer and put Deku to sleep and taking him to the nearest hospital. As we cut to the rest of the subordinates that's in the room, I don't know if they can be able to help him. That's ancient DNA. We don't have anything for that. Hopefully our boss can make it through, they say. As we cut a few days later, as Deku gets up and he says, oh, my head hurt. What happened? As he looks to the right, he analyzes the room and sees his mom. It's like, Mom, what are you doing here? What happened? Well, my son, you had an accident at your job. As he's like, oh yeah, that's what happened. As, you know, he's rubbing his head. She's like, I made something to eat for you. As he takes the food and he starts to eat it. As his body rejects the food. And he's like, ugh, he starts to throw it up. It's like, my body won't let me eat this. I can't eat this. It's not for me. I can't. Something's not letting me eat regular food for some reason. And she's like, what you mean, Deku? I don't know. But my food I can't digest the food no more. It forces the food up. As the doctors walk into the room, as this might be tough to hear, Miss Inkle, but your son can no longer eat regular food no more. As she's like, what you mean? Look, we did some tests on him. His whole biology changed. As he's like, what you mean my whole biology changed? What's going on? As he's like, the doctor's like, well, when you was working in the laboratory, it seems that your DNA and the ancient mongoose that you was working on fused and made one new entire chromosome. As he's like, are you serious? How can something like that happen? To be honest, I don't even know. I didn't even know that was possible. But then again, we live in an age of powers, so anything is probably possible at this point. Anyway, doctor, get to the point, Deku says. Yeah, sorry for going off track, but essentially, now you're a strictly hyper carnivore. You only eat raw flesh from now on. As he's Deku just in shock. Wait, you telling me my only way I can consume food is through flesh? As he's like, yeah, this blows. As he's like, alright, can I just leave? I need to process all of this. As, they give him his space, even ego leaves. As he starts to look at his hands, and he starts to stare at his nails, as his nails retract and grow sharp, razor sharp. As he's like, the heck do you know? I have razor sharp claws now. I wonder what else I have. As he starts to get a grin, because in this timeline, Deku, he always wanted to be a hero, but he never had a quirk to begin with. And he's around the age of 18 at this point. So he pursued the way of science. Maybe someday he can break through and help people that don't have quirks get a quirk. So that's why he became a scientist. Also, a versed engineer scientist as well. So he kind of gets a grin on his face. It might not be pleasant eating wise, but these abilities will be insane in terms of combat. As he gets a grin. As he lays down, making sure his body fully adapts to the new changes. As he's laying on the bed, he starts to move his tongue around his mouth. As he realizes his teeth are razor sharp. As he's like, what the hell? As he goes to look in the mirror, and he's like, oh, great. I have razor sharp teeth as well. Interesting. As his sense of smell is heightened. As he can smell the refrigerator from floor 138 all the way down to floor 1 where they keep the food frozen. And they brought in some fresh protein and he can smell it. As he's like, I gotta get to that. I'm hungry. I'm extremely hungry right now. As he leaves the room, right? As the doctors are like, Deku, you have to stay in bed. And he's like, I'm hungry. Give me the food now. As he starts to get really feral. As they immediately rush to get the food that he needs, right? So they give it to him, right? And the doctors let the people know that he has to eat it raw, as it kind of grosses them out, Wait, he has to eat raw food? Yeah, his body is different from ours. As he's like, yeah, hurry up, bring it here right now. As he starts to devour the chicken legs, the steaks, he just starts devouring them, right? As he has a weird craving, like there's something missing. I don't happen to have snake by any chance. As they kind of get cringe faced, they're like, ew, snakes? You eat snakes? They're like, he's like, yeah, that's my whole biology. I'm essentially a mongoose. I have to eat that. Now, give it to me now. As they ordered snakes, right? A doctor wouldn't just have random snakes in there, right? So they have to order it. As they bring the snakes in, don't worry, the snakes are already frozen and dead, so don't worry about Deku eating them alive, because that's not gonna happen, okay? Just know the snakes are already dead, okay? Anyway, so he starts to munch down on them, and it's like really good to him. Like snake flesh is like his favorite. As he leaves the doctor in a few days, as he heads back to his home, aka a mansion, because my boy is loaded, okay? He's one of the top freaking scientists in the world. So he orders his butler to make a training room fit for him. As he's like, okay, sir, I'll get to it immediately. As we're gonna say a few days go by, he has a training room. Now Deku begins his training, and it's intense. He put himself through hell and back. Essentially, let me give you a rundown of the mongoose abilities. So essentially, his speed, agility, and just reflexes are just beyond anything. To give you an example, it makes Spider-Man and Wolverine look like an absolute joke. Also, Daredevil. He makes them look like peons compared to him. His agility is absolute, and his sense of smell, he can smell for 100 miles away easily, casually. His vision is heightened to the point where he can see a plane probably 20,000 feet in the air pretty comfortably, easily, if he really wanted to. And his sense of smell, like I said, is just broken. He has razor sharp claws, right? And then if he consumes venom, he gets a 50 times boost to overall his stats. So yeah, Deku is going to be an absolute monster. So I hope y'all guys enjoy. Anyway, enough breaking the fourth wall. So he runs some tests on himself, and he sees what he can do. So essentially, I'm going to call this ability Toxic Boost. That's what he says. So he gets ready to go enter the UA exams because it started around this month once again. As we hear a large boom as he's like, oh, that can only be one person. Where you at, you shitty nerd? Says Bakugo. When you gonna stop calling me a shitty nerd? Says Deku. Whatever I feel like it. But I ain't gonna stop calling you a shitty nerd because I can. But guys, I'm gonna end it off here. Other than that, peace, y'all.